Alright guys, this is going to be a video here. I have a lot of friends that ask like, well, how do you process a deer? And I got friends that are thinking about shooting their first deer, but they're worried about after they shoot it, like what to do with it. They want to try to do it themselves, and they're worried about how that process works and what exactly to do. And they live an hour plus from me, so it's like harder for me to go out and show them. So I'm going to put together a video here on the Down and Dirty how to do this. I use a fillet knife, a knife sharpener to touch up the fillet knife, and a bone saw. There's the only three things that only saws or knives I use. And then I have a hoist here behind me with a gable, and I have a hose run to the setup here. First thing I do is go around each of the four legs, right around the elbow here and right below the knee joint. On the deer, go around each of those legs and then skin up. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to I'll take some pictures as I go and with my phone. 11 o'clock. Let's see how long it takes us to get it done. Alright. Go around this leg. I go around it with a knife first, so that you can cut through the hide with the knife and the hair, because the bone saw doesn't do real well with that. So I'll go around that leg, try to keep the meat and whatnot out of the dirt. So to do that, I'll do the top half, and then I'll either pick it up, or I'll hoist him up. Once I get the back done, I'll hoist it up and do the other part. So I go up the back of the leg, go around it, and then go up the back of the leg into the armpit. And then just kind of start this process of peeling this away from the hide, or away from the meat a little bit here. This knife needs touched up. I obviously did not put it away sharp. It is pretty dull right now. Alright, got that started. Grab the bone saw and cut it off. If you don't have a bone saw to cut that off, you can use a sawzall, and a sawzall with a wood cutting blade, that'll work, or an axe, and just chop it.
Like a big swing.
Alright, now we're going to do the back one. I'm going to hit this knife though with the sharpener, as it is dull. Alright, for the back leg, you want to go below the Achilles and make your cut around, and then skin it down past the Achilles. You're going to cut a slice between his bone of his leg and the Achilles to put your gable through to hoist him off the ground. If you cut that Achilles, you will not be able to pick him up this way. You'll have to figure it out another way. Some people will put the gable through a tendon up in here. It's doable either way. Alright, we go through it. Zane, don't touch that knife, okay?
Okay.
Chop it off with the saw. Like that. I pitch deer legs in the woods. Some people save them, the dogs eat them, dogs chew on them, whatever. Alright, so I cut that off. I'm going to go up the inside of the leg, like where the brown and white transition is. on the fur. You don't want to get too deep into the meat, you're just trying to get under the skin and lay this open. Good sharp knife helps. All the way up, and then when you get up here, I'm going to go straight in and join where I opened him up to gut him. Just like that. And I'll take a picture of this once I get it hoisted up a little bit better. And then we're just going to work this hide back away. Be careful here that you don't cut the Achilles. If you cut it, like I said, you have to find another way to hang him. Take your time, get it started, and then once it's started, a lot of times you can just grab it and peel it. Like that. And I'm going to bring my gable down here. Put the hook in the Achilles for now to hold this up out of the dirt. Hold the other leg up out of the dirt as well while I
Boom.
Again, right below the knee joint. Go around the hide and the muscle, hide and the tendon and the muscle. Get all that back, peeled back, and then cut it with the saw.
Dad, why don't you put a hoofprint on the ground with?
Yeah, I'll give you that last one. You can play with it when I get it cut off, okay?
I'm just trying to smack.
Look out. Get back. I got a knife here. Get back.
This is gonna look a little flame. That's metal.
And right up that transition between the white and the brown fur. And on the front of the leg here. All the way up. And I'm going to take it inside to where I opened him up to gut and go across. And that'll allow you later to peel that back from the inside out. this. Back from the inside out. I'm gonna go from the inside where the nutsack was and work it back so that it's hanging off the back of the deer. Now I'm going to get the gable in it. I'll rinse this. Cold water here, don't use warm water. Hot water. Water's your friend. It keeps the hair laid down and allows it to separate, allows it to rinse off all the dirt and whatnot as well. Okay, I'm going to transition now from our... And we're going to bring him up some more. I'm not working bending.
He's dripping blood from his nose.
Yep. That's okay.
Why is he dripping?
And then what I like to do, I'm going to let him untwist here a little bit. Kind of where it's semi-neutral. And then I am going to tie off I'm going to tie off one of these legs to this post so it doesn't spin while I'm trying to work on it. Pull on it, get wrapped around there, pull on it a little bit, put some tension on it. That will keep it from spinning near as much and make your job a lot easier. And I'm going to pick my rope up out of the ground because I don't want my rope in the ground. And all the blood and nastiness. Quick head of fetching that. Alright, so here's some close-up footage on the phone of what I did here. I cut that off, trimmed down around on the outside. On the inside, I came down the front edge of this leg over to the middle on both legs, and then just peeled that hide back, and then I'll start here and I'll peel that hide back as well. Did that on both sides, got him hung up. Same thing down here, cut it off right above the knee, and then started peeling up, go up the inside of the leg, and then peel it around, get it started. The more you get it started, the easier it'll be to get it scunned down. Once you get this thing started, it will pull down. You'll be able to pull it down and just help it with the knife a little bit. All right, I'm gonna keep rolling. The other camera's rolling as well. Again, go around the hair and the meat, or hair and the hide and the tendons, so because your bone saw is not going to cut that real well.
Does make a good squeaker, don't it? Can dig. Guys, I'm making a deer out of a tadpole. Watch.
What's that, buddy?
I bet he can make it. I bet this can make a hole. Watch.
I bet it can. That's what duck bucks do. They scrape the ground.
See how it scraped?
Yeah, they scrape the ground with their paws.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
See how I scraped that hole?
Mm-hmm.
I scraped it the front with it. Taking. It's kind of like a big foot that can stamp. Talk about you. Can't believe it. Dad, it can bend. Dad, it can bend, Daddy.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna take a video here of what these look like. Again, cut them off right above the knee, the elbow, whatever you want to call it, and then skin up around both legs. That'll help it come off a little bit easier when you go to peel it back down around him. Rinse this off with water right away. All right, now I'm done like cutting hair for the most part. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse the whole deer down real good. Try to get as much mud and dirt and whatnot off of it as you can. Alright, I'm going to work it down.
It's gotta make a foot.
I'm going to try to avoid leaving that meat on there. Leave it on the bone, not on the hide. Like I said, once you get it going, you can oftentimes make a lot of progress just pulling. Take a good wad of hair here, get a good grip, and just pull down. I'm going to show you here in a second what I do. Just go around that butt, and around the tail, and take the tail off. There are scent glands right here, like little lymph node glands. You don't want to bust them. You want to cut around them. Ideally, you don't want to get that nastiness all over you, all over your meat. You're gonna get bees just anywhere, especially in Florida. These little sweat bees get all over everything. Find that gland on this side. And just weight like sinew on the outside. The more of that you get off now, the less you got to deal with later. That gland is right there. It sits right here in the inner thigh there. Now there are special tools called butt out tools and whatnot that people use to take the butt out. I just work it in there. I'm not squeamish. Just get the knife in here. Go around it. You don't want to cut the actual through it if you don't have to. Go around it and trim that and work it out. And it'll come out. Butt, bladder, all that good stuff. And then I'm just going to go to the base of the tail here and go right through one of those. You just find a split in the vertebrae and go right through that split in the vertebrae. Just like that. Come right off. Have that little stub. Tail's in there. Alright, now we're going to keep peeling down. Side of the flank here is trying to get with me. I'm going to trim it. It makes it easier to split it the rest of the way down the brisket. I don't typically, but sometimes you need to get it to come off the rest of the way, but it's not necessary. Back straps right here down each side of the spine. Most tender, or the best part of meat on the whole deer. Try not to cut them up with your knife while you're skinning here. Just pull away from the hide, pull away from the body. You see that white like membrane or whatever generating, you just lay your knife on it and it just peels back. At some point you'll get up here where this tuft, where you stopped with your gutting, when you open him up from to gut him. And you have to get that started around the brisket. Once you get it started, it'll go down then. And then you're going to get to a point where you get right here, and I can see this hole through here where I cut earlier, and I'm just going to go and cut right through that. And now I can bring this hide that I cut off front shoulder around to this side. It's just basically just follow the deer hide down, trim it down. People are intimidated by this process, but it's really not bad. And you don't have to go fast, take your time. And I'm right here again to my little hole that I cut earlier. I'm gonna go through that hole. Separates the hide on the inside shoulder and the hide on the chest area, the inside there, and the hide on the outside. And I'll work it down. I'm going to go back here, or go down here and work this piece of hide down across this brisket.
Soon you won't look like a deal anymore.
What's that, buddy?
Soon it won't look like a deal anymore.
Soon?
Yeah, soon.
Yeah.
And the footprint is starting to break out. I can't even make a footprint without getting a speak on. So I'm gonna go keep cleaning them up.
around the front shoulder here. Entering the home stretch now. More glands here in the neck. On either side of the neck there's a gland here. Try not to cut it, go around it, especially on a rutting buck. His neck's all swelled up and that gland is completely full of stuff. Right there's that one, and the other one's right on the other side.
Dad?
Yes, sir?
Going in.
You going inside? You can spend all day working that down to the base of the neck, but you really don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and, that's far enough for me. I'm going to cut this right here. Again, I'm going to use my knife to cut through all the meat and muscle, meat, and tendons and whatnot. Go all the way around. Cut the jugular. When you do that, you're going to get a lot of blood probably. Must bled out pretty good. Yeah, that it's all internal. And then just, so I did that. Sometimes you can just grab this and twist. Got it. It'll break. Once you hear it break, then you can grab a hold and cut the rest of the tendons and whatnot. Try to find the joint that broke or that separated and work it out. If it didn't and it's being a pain in the butt, oh, there it went. Okay, there it is. So there's your head and your hide. I'm going to set this to the side, and later I'm going to trim all the hair off of it, all as much of the meat off of it as I can, and then eventually I will boil it and take all the meat off. Alright, so at this point now I've got all the hair off of it, rinsed it off good. I still feel so alright. I'm going to start working. I work from the bottom up. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the shoulders off both sides. Rinse real good. There's no actual shoulder like we have a socket in there. They just have a shoulder blade that lays flat against the rib cage with a bunch of muscle. So if you grab it from the inside here and pull it out away from his body, away from the deer's body, you can take your knife and just go in against the ribs here and start working. And it'll just, what I do is see this big chunk of meat right here, you can use all that. Grinded meat, just go up around it like this, and just score it, and then go work the inside out. It's just muscles and tendons, that's all it's in there. Lays up against the shoulder blade. If you're interested in keeping the neck meat, I'm going to use it for grinding. Some people make roast, but I'm going to go in against it. You just stay tight to that neck vertebrae, to the neck on both sides, and just go down like that and take that whole thing. So there I got a front shoulder and neck meat all on one hunk. I'm going to rinse that off good, throw it in my cooler with ice. I typically get 2 or 3 or 4 of these. This is a 16-pound bag. Somewhere around that amount, 30 pounds or so, 30, 40 pounds will be sufficient. The more ice the better, as long as you can fit the deer and all the ice in your cooler. I put a layer of ice, lay the meat on it, and then lay a thin layer, another thin layer of ice. Ideally, you don't want any of the ice or the meat laying on another meat. You want it all surrounded by ice to chill it quickly, and then you want to keep the liquid off of it, drain the liquid out of that cooler. If your cooler has a drain in the bottom, that's ideal. Add more ice as you need to, keep it full of ice, and I let it leach out and drain all the liquid off for 3-4 days sometimes. The other one. Again, work from the inside, pull out on the leg, keep the knife in against the body, work it down, and I'm going to take this whole chunk of meat right here, lays against the, on top of the ribs. It helps them operate the shoulder, or move the shoulder. And I'm going to start trimming that back. Be careful when it does break free, it's going to be heavy. Make sure you got a good enough hold on it. You don't drop the meat on the ground. The tenderloin, the back strap runs all the way down to right here. Once I get right below that back strap, I go in against the neck and go down that neck and take as much meat off that neck as I want. A bunch of vertebrae here you're going to work around a little bit, but the more of this you get off now, the less work it'll be to get it later if you want it. On a small deer, a lot of times they ain't worth it. This is a big deer, so. And I mean, you could spend an hour there picking at that, but that's all neck meat. And then the shoulder here. Rinse it, cooler with ice. Get my knife here, sharpen my knife up a little bit. Get it good and sharp. Because the next one is the back straps for me. Prime cut of meat, I want it to be nice and neat when I get it out. Alright, there's a layer of sinew and stuff on the outside of this you're going to want to peel back. And again, this is the kind of meat right here that you could spend hours trimming it all this and using it. I take the big chunks. It makes sense here of the flank. Some people will take that whole flank. I take the bigger chunks, throw them in the cooler for grinding meat. Some people fry them for steak, whatever you want. Another chunk of flank. Any of this like white gristly stuff, the more of that you get off now, the less you got to deal with later. If you're doing this at your house, you're going to have a mess. I have a mess of mud and blood and fat and stuff that I just, fat and whatnot, I just pitch. grinding meat. When I say grinding meat, I mean I grind that up to make deer burger. Clean a little bit more of this flank meat here. Pretty good chunk of meat on here. Take your time to clean it up a little bit. Good grinding stuff. I'll take a video or picture of this or a video here with my phone of this side a little bit closer in. These inside of here there, so the back straps are on the outside, and on the inside of the loins there's tenderloins. Some people call the back straps tenderloins, but the tenderloins are actually on the inside of the loin. What's out on this side, of the top side of the deer, the back, is back strap. I grew up calling them both the same, but I didn't even know that this meat inside of here is also called the sweet meat or the preacher meat. The old timers used to always give it to the preacher because it's the best piece of meat on the deer, or the sweetest and most tender piece of meat on the deer is the inside here in the loins. Just trimming all the fat and whatnot, or the gristle and tendons and membranes off of this piece of flank on this side that I'm about to trim out and use. Piece of grinding meat. I'm going to rinse that one. It's a little bit dirty. A little bit of hair and whatnot on here. Now we're going to get to it. There's a little membrane and like hide layer here on the outside. Work that off and you see like a shiny purplish silver purple color. We call it silver skin. I'm going to work that silver skin down all the way down. You want to work this membrane off and work it away from the silver skin. That strip of silver skin is on the outside of the deer's back strap. Okay. Feel this membrane here I'm about to peel back. all that like gristle skin membrane stuff that's on over top the back strap. So now I got two beautiful back straps running down. Starts all the way up in here in the hindquarters and runs down. It's that big around up here and it slopes all the way down to a point at the bottom. I go against the vertebrae on this side and just start working it down. And once up here at the top, I work the inside, so I'll start at the top here, go down each side of the membrane, or go down each side of the spine. Once you get this started, you'll be able to work it out with your hands and just assist with your knife a little bit. And right down the edge of that membrane for that spine. And I'm going to go to about right here. I'm going to go straight across, right here where the ham meets the back strap. I'm going to go straight in. Actually, I'm going to go to the back side here and work this, clean this out, get the preacher meats out of here before I go any further. Sometimes when I cut the back strap out, you'll cut the preacher meats and mess them up. I don't want to do that. I'm going to clean up in here a little bit. In this cavity, there's a bunch of fat stuff in here that you don't want. Just get that away from your meat. Fat and like little node nodules of stuff that sit in here against the spine and spleen. Just gonna trim all that away from that. When you start trimming it away, you'll see there's two pieces of meat that are about big around as, I don't know, that's probably, I'll take a picture here, probably an inch and a half in diameter, and you'll be able to get, they're real tender, so be careful with them. You can get your fingers in behind them usually and work them down. Work them out with your fingers, really. I'm going to get my phone and take a video of this so you can see it up close, what we're working with here. Alright, so in here, we cleaned that out good. There's a lot of this these nodes and like fat and stuff in here. It lays around their spine. This chunk of meat right here, you can see I was able to work my fingers in around it, right? You can get your fingers in here and then on this side of it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cut it off at each end. At the bottom here, we're going to release it, and we'll release it up here, and that whole piece will just come out, and there's one on each side. Those are called the sweets, or the preacher meats, or the tenderloins, inner loins. Everybody has a different name for them, but we'll work them out here. There's one of them. Very tender, almost falls apart. Throw that in a skillet, saute it or sear it, and eat it. Awesome. A little bit of buttered garlic, pepper, salt, pepper. There it is, 11:52. I haven't eaten yet today, so I'm hungry. That's one of them. We got another one. We're going to work it out too. There's number two. A layer of grinding meat in there, so I wanted to get it covered up before I put the next chunk in. Alright, now I'm going to work the back straps out. Also, very tender. Great piece of meat. I'm gonna clean my knife up. In my hand. Boil off. Alright, we went in, straight below the ham, all the way in until you touch the spine, and then start working it away from that spine. Keep your knife close to the spine as you can. Once you get it started and you start working it down, it will work down. It'll come down by itself basically. Once you get it started here. When you hit the right spot, you'll feel the knife and you'll feel the meat just separate from that spine. Take your time here. You don't want to butcher this up. It's a beautiful piece of meat. I use this a lot of times for smoking. I will smoke it with, wrap it in bacon and marinate it and smoke it, and it is awesome. Now what I'm doing, I'm getting my thumb in against between the meat and the spine, and I'm peeling it away from the spine with my thumb and just laying the knife on there and working it down. And you'll feel it's like slightly attached to each of the rib ends. And then once you get here where the ribs start, you can kind of come in from the top like this. And it'll just peel away from the top of the ribs. All the way down to the base of the neck there. Beautiful piece of meat on the deer. I'll put it in the cooler for a couple days, we'll leach off the liquid, and then I'll clean all that silver skin layer off this side, and that's one solid chunk of just beautiful meat all the way down. Right here, straight in from where the ham meets the back, I get all the way into the spine. Piece of fat there, and we're going to work it away from the piece. Again, I'm just pulling away from the ribs and the spine, same time kind of here. And just slowly peeling it down. assisting with the knife, but it really comes out very easily if you once you got it started, it'll kind of fall out of there. You get down here to the end, you're getting into some neck meat too, but we'll just trim that down and we'll keep that too. Cut off what we don't want for the tenderloin and add it to the grind pile. Beautiful piece of meat. That's our second 16-pound bag. All we got left that I'm going to take and mess with are the hams on both sides. I like to, I'm going to cut this off. This is all, there's like a little bit of meat on here, but it's got a lot of gristle in it. And in between the ribs, you can cut all that meat out and grind it. It just takes forever, and there's a lot of sinew and whatnot in it. To me, it's not worth it. I shoot enough deer that I don't have to have every little chunk of meat off here, and I don't have the time to deal with cleaning it all up. I want the least amount of fat and gristle in my meat. When my finished product goes in my freezer, the better. And the more of this you mess with, the more of that you have to clean when it comes time to do that and to package it and whatnot. So there's, like I said, there's a little bit of chunks on there you can trim at. I'm not messing with it. I don't have time for that. I'm going to cut it off right here. This will get drugged back in the woods and pitched. Just little, I mean, look, I can stick my finger through it. there's nothing that much there. It's real skinny on a Florida deer. I've heard people up out in the Midwest have, you know, corn-fed deer. They got big fat, and there's a lot of fat on them. They got more meat on the ribs. Maybe you can mess with it, but to me, it ain't worth the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down about 3 ribs from the top. I'm going to make a slice so I have a handle. I'm going to cut that off with my knife here, get any little bit of tendon and whatnot. It probably ain't much there because I already cut it off. I'm going to get the bone saw, and I'm going to cut that off right there at the spine. And I'm going to take this whole chunk right here while I'm grabbing it, and I'm going to drag it back in the woods and pitch it to feed the crows and vultures and whatever else. Right here, right below that. Go through that spine, you'll find a vertebrae, and it'll come right off. Just like that. I'll be back. Alright. Now, I'm going to rinse this one more time, and we're going to start separating these things. Some people will just cut it down the middle and leave the hip in there and throw the whole thing in. I'm going to disconnect one side. That side's sort of wrapped, but it might come loose. I'll work on that here in a minute. I got a little hook here I'm going to put in it. I just took a piece of metal and bound it into a hook. We'll put that on our gable, and we'll put it through one side, so I can grab the other side and pull down to open that hip up. And then I'm going to work in there, and I'll work my way in with a knife to get to the hip socket, separate the hip socket, and then cut the meat off of the hip. Get the gable out of here. Ah, darn it. That sucks. see if I can get that back down. Oh, there we go. Let's see if I can get enough gumption in me to get that up there. Oh yeah, I got it. Okay. Now, we got that. I can pull down on that and get a lot of leverage and start working in there. It's common sense where to go, right in the middle, initially, and just lay it open. Then you'll get into the butt here, this hip, and you start working around that. You'll hear it when you hit the right spot. You'll start separating. And right here's the socket. Just found it. And we want to work, there's a chunk of meat right here and a chunk of meat here in the rump. You don't want to just cut them off because it's a beautiful piece of meat. You want to go in around them best you can here. Just kind of follow the bone with your knife and you'll feel it and hear it separating in the hip socket here. Gristle cut out. Sweat bees are hungry. Don't eat me. A little knob sticks out right here. It's kind of a pain to work around. Once you work around that, work right up the spine here like this. Whereas right before the end, I'm going to get my hand inside this Achilles here because it's about to get heavy. Just like that. And there you have a ham, hind quarter, whatever you want to call it. Everybody says a little bit something different, but there it is. We're going to rinse it up, cooler with ice. This one is a little bit harder to do because you don't have as much leverage, obviously, because you're not using the whole weight of the deer. But you can get a hole made in the hip socket here, and get your couple fingers in there and get a grip on it and pull down, and then just work your way in just like you did on the other side. And you just use a reference, like here's that hip socket, so the other one's right there. Find that hip socket and work around it. Man, these are after it today. Little nibble where that little bone sticks out is right there. We're already on the other side of it. Like I said, this one is not as easy because you don't have all the leverage that you had on the other side, but you can push and pull as you need to and get in there. There we go. Now you'll hear it, feel it start to separate. There we go. Alright guys, my camera died at some point here recently. I don't know how long ago, but I hope not super long ago. The one that's mounted over there. But this one's here. I just separated the hip. The second half of that hip is harder because you don't have as much leverage. So what I do is get my hands a hold of that hip and start pulling down on it and slowly working it away. It's the exact opposite of the one you just did. Just do the opposite on the other side. Get it cleaned off and we will rinse it, get it in the cooler with ice. I use 3 16-pound bags of ice. You can use less, you can use more, whatever works for you and your cooler. There's no wrong way to do this, but there are some easier ways to do it, and the way I was taught is the way I've always done it. It works for me. At this point, we've been at it since 11 o'clock. It is 12:16, so about an hour and 15 minutes. All the meat will be in the cooler here in a minute, and all the meat will be on ice, and then from there it's just cleaning up all the stuff.